In a studio that's in a basement comes the epic story of how two friends changed the future of the movie podcast game forever. The reviews are in. Boys Life magazine gives the High Sci podcast 4.5 acorns. The Daily Bugle says, these guys are super legit. And Pope Francis declares the podcast as life-affirming. From the kid who tried to get smart with David Spade and got fucking old.
You're still out. You're still bad.
And the guy who can name all four Baldwin brothers.
Alec, William, Daniel, and the baby boy, Stephen.
Live from the studio of his parents' basement. The Have You Seen It podcast.
Go ahead. My bad. Go ahead.
Welcome back to the Have You Seen It podcast. My name is Mason Knight. That is Cash Krause. What were you about to say?
I was just saying, how do you think Chuck Fresh is doing through all this?
Hopefully not losing any business. Our boy Chuck. We do appreciate him.
Well, thank God he is he's in a business where he doesn't have to leave the home.
No, he can literally just be in the studio.
That's nice.
Maybe business has been going up for him. A lot of creative people making new things.
That'd be nice. I hope so. We only want the best.
You know, we really should start promoting our social media pages and stuff at the beginning of our show. So real quick, I'm gonna make this plug. Go check out our YouTube channel, guys.
Yeah.
Type in Have You Seen It? Have You Seen It podcast. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We have videos. We have like top 10, top 8, top 6 videos. We have the history of cinema videos. We have trailer reactions. We have so much content right now on our YouTube channel. Be sure to go check that out and subscribe, like a few videos, hit the bell notification, and get all your latest updates. Social media pages, Twitter, Seen It Podcast, Instagram, Have You Seen It, and Facebook, Have You Seen It Podcast. We keep up with all of them, so.
Absolutely. And today, Mason, I'm very excited to talk about this film.
Oh, God, I love this
It
movie.
was your pick this week. Yep. Last week, we did the incredibly great but depressing Take Shelter.
Yes.
It's a somber film for sure. This film, somber, but funny.
But real funny. And it's that dry, dark humor that's just so on the nose.
And
it's wonderful.
By far, my favorite subgenre of comedy
Yes.
is the dark comedy, the black comedy, gallows humor, some call it. It's my favorite, but I think it's the hardest. It's the hardest type of comedy to accomplish. It rarely hits for me.
Because they're so serious in the scene, yet it's so funny that throughout this movie, there's so many times where I literally laugh out loud.
Yeah.
It's just so funny.
Well, when dark comedy is done right,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
It is.
It is.
It
It's so funny. I love that really dark, deadpan humor.
Yep.
I just love it where no one else is laughing in the movie, but you're just cracking up hysterically just of what these people are doing and saying.
Yeah. And Jesse Eisenberg, he's so good with that sort of humor too, where it's like the very frail, like human being who's very nervous and scared. I mean, this is perfect casting.
Well, what movie are we talking about? This was your pick this week. What movie
this is an A24 film. It's called The Art of Self-Defense.
Yeah, directed by Riley Stearns, like you said, starring Jesse Eisenberg, also Imogen Poots.
Yep.
Which they're starring in an upcoming movie. What was the
Vivarium.
Vivarium, absolutely, yeah.
Which looks promising.
But Jesse Eisenberg works very well, but everyone in this film works really well, especially the sensei, Alessandro Nivola.
Yes.
He is so good in this. And I only know him from one other movie. He's been in a ton of stuff, but I know him. He is from Jurassic Park 3. He plays Billy, the kid who steals the Velociraptor eggs.
No way.
Yeah, what an idiot.
Wow.
I've always hated him since that, but he is amazing in this. But yeah, it's very very dark and very dry.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a mix between Napoleon Dynamite and the Karate Kid.
Yep.
This movie really is the anti-Karate Kid. It's Karate Kid, the exact story, but all the characters and everything is completely different. Instead of Jesse Eisenberg character having having any kind of personality like the Karate Kid did, zero personality.
None.
He's
just
so
a scared
stiff,
human
so
being.
stiff and so awkward. He's just, again, it's everything opposite of the Karate Kid with the exact same story. Should we jump into it?
Yeah, let's jump into this.
So Casey Davis, played by Jesse Einsberg.
Casey Davies.
Which
is a real feminine
It's a feminine name, if I have to say so. That's a woman's name.
It is a woman's name.
He is an extremely timid accountant.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you could tell immediately this guy... I mean, it's so funny because the place he works is like, it's just like a stereotypical, you got to watch it to kind of get it, but it's like a stereotypical like workplace. The guys are talking about like, just like stereotypical like.
Guy stuff.
Like, oh, I love missionaries.
Yeah, like
the,
sex positions.
Yeah, like stereotypical, like you think guys are talking sex, but it's like the most like it's like a robot wrote the dialogue.
Yeah.
But it's so damn funny because
It is.
and at one point they're talking about like stereotypical, talking about like things you want to do to your boss. But then the guy's like, yeah, we should like, he says some mundane prank. Then he goes, or we can burn down his house. And everyone around is like, yeah. They're all
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
And then Casey ends up interrupting. He's like, actually, I know the boss. He's like, he's actually a good guy, so maybe we shouldn't burn down his house.
He's like, who the fuck are you? He's like, I run accounting. He goes, you're the fucking guy who audits us?
Yeah. He goes,
Get the fuck out.
get the fuck out of here. And he immediately runs away. He's so scared. He immediately takes off. Yeah. But he's given some time off because he's overcoming a mugging.
Yes, he
A
is.
very weird,
severe,
severe
weird
and
mugging.
odd mugging. What happens is he's got to go out and he's got to go get get dog food for his dog. He's
He
a little
didn't realize.
wiener dog.
Yeah, he didn't realize his little Dachshund hound didn't have any food. Guy doesn't have a car apparently, so he walks to the grocery store.
And I'm guessing this takes place in the 90s.
Yeah, it does.
It's
Yes,
very
it does.
it's very vague. Again, it's an odd movie. It has a tone like no other movie has.
It's
just
definitely a
very
90s
different,
film, though. But so he's walking towards the supermarket to pick up the dog food, and these two bikers come up, and one asks if he's got a gun, and he's just kind of scared, but still has his hands in his pocket. And he's like, what? And they end up just driving away.
Yep.
On the way back,
Well, no,
however-
at first the person, he drives by and asks him if he has a gun. Then he drives,
Yeah. And then he picks up the dog food, and then on the way back to the house, he hears the motorcycle again, drops the dog food, and starts to run in a panic. And I love that like little dorky, nerdy run before he goes to an all-out
It's
sprint.
those
where it's
arms
like
don't move at all.
Yeah,
He
it's-
just shuffles his
so
feet.
funny.
But yeah, I mean, if someone comes up and asks you in a street if you have a gun, it's
My first answer is yes.
yeah,
Always. If someone asks me if I got a gun, absolutely.
because
I
it's
got a gun.
always followed up by getting mugged.
Yeah, it is.
It's a yes or no. It's 100%. But yeah, so he gets mugged and he's very scared. And he goes to one of my favorite scenes is he goes to the gun store.
Mm-hmm.
And the gun store employee is so damn funny, but just deadpan. And he's like telling him all this shit for the reason for him not. He goes, well, you're just to make sure you're much more likely to shoot yourself.
Yeah, there's much more likely for suicide. Do you have kids in the house? Because if you have kids, it's much more likely that you're going to have an accident when your kids is going to blow their head off. But, so I would recommend if you do have kids,
But
you're going to lock it up.
He's delivering it 100% where he wants him to
Authentic.
buy a gun.
Yes, he does. He goes, trust me, you're going to love being a gun owner.
Oh, good. You don't have good kids? Because that's good. Because most of the time when you have kids, it's much more
Yeah.
likely. And he's like, no, I don't have a kid. I'm using it for self-defense. He goes, oh, that's good. But in most cases, having a gun, you're much more likely to get shot and getting mugged. So he's kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah, he's kind of
Now
like
he doesn't want the
turned
gun.
away
Yeah.
from it. Yeah.
But the gun guy calls him later on, and he's still telling him shit like, he calls him and tells him that the gun, because there's a waiting period,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so funny because they're obviously parroting just like the gun culture. and
Gun
everything.
culture, of course.
Because if a gun shop owner came in and told you all this shit, that's all true. That's all shit. You
It
wouldn't
is
want
true.
the gun.
No, you wouldn't. No.
You're like 200 times more likely to shoot yourself owning a gun than not owning a gun. You're much more likely to commit suicide having a gun.
Yep.
And he tells him all this, and by the time he tells him this, he's like, well, fuck, I don't really want to.
He's like, you got to turn me off to this thing, pal.
And then he calls him, and he, because he goes after that, and he finds himself inside a dojo.
It was so funny too. When he's at a gun shop, he's like, maybe you could put that in like a bag or a box or something. And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, there's a waiting list.
Yeah, and it's so funny. He's like, a waiting list. He's like, yeah, it's so if you want to kill someone right now, you got to wait to kill him. It's so obvious.
So that, maybe in 2 days you can come back and get the gun and then kill the person.
And then you can kill
then
him.
you can kill them. Yeah.
Oh, it's classic. But yeah, so he ends up taking classes. He ends up going to a class, and he ends up just hearing this sensei, and he's just, I guess he's talking like metaphorically, but it's everything he's saying.
Well, the opening to this was hilarious when he's like, it's like first you start with words, then your words form sentences, and your sentences form this. And then as he's saying the words to sentences, he's doing like motions, motions.
He says, as you are fluid in language, you'll be fluid in the art. Ask me what I'm doing this weekend. And the guy's so nervous. He goes, oh, what are you doing this weekend? I'm renting a movie. So I can watch it in the comfort of my own home.
Oh my God, so funny. And he's just dead ass serious through the whole thing.
And Casey sees this and he's like, oh my God.
This makes sense to me. He's speaking my frequency, man.
Yeah,
he's on my level.
He goes, I got to do it. He goes,
well, and there were two scenarios or two instances where he was really drawn in. One, when they were doing the guy before him, he was like, that was disgusting. He goes, you do that on the street and you're going to die. Yeah. And then he goes to Casey. Casey's nervous and he goes, yeah. And he goes, very good.
That's after he took the first class.
Was it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was in the.
Because there were one or two instances where he was like, the reason why he was brought in is because he said something to him.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Well, he tells him to come in, and he tells him that at first he tells him the first class is free, and then he tells him that or whatever, and then he gets him set up with the white belt. That's after. Then after the first class, he comes back and because he was training already. And then he does the thing, and he goes, oh, my God, that's pretty good. That's when he moves him up to the yellow belt after that. Yeah, that's the second class when he does that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because he's already training after that or whatever for it. But, yeah, and he reveals to the sensei, and the sensei explains to him about the belts or whatever. And then he goes, and then they go to a promotion, and eventually he gives him a yellow belt almost immediately.
Yes.
Or whatever. So he's pumped for it. He meets another guy in the classroom who's a blue belt, Henry. Mm-hmm. And
he's been bragging. He's saying, hey, this promotion, I'm going to get my black stripe.
Yeah. And Henry kind of tells him about the night classes and only like badasses go to the night classes. Yep. You got to be invited to the night class, right? And
yeah, you can't just show up.
Yeah. Henry's a funny guy.
He is.
Some funny stuff ends up happening to him later on, but yeah, and eventually Casey reveals to him that he was not there for health and fitness, that he was really there for...
And I love the questions that he's asking him. He's like, well, hold on. This one's multiple choice.
It's so funny. It's so dry.
It is super dry.
How old are you? Can you give me that in months?
Months? Yeah, he's like, this thing only does it in months.
You're 451 months. Sounds a little older to put it that way.
I love when he asks me, he said, what's 12 times 36? He doesn't know off the top of his head. And he's like, like everyone's supposed to know that off the top of their head.
Yeah. Why are you taking
running
this
a
class?
calculator?
And then right when he's about to give him the reason why, he goes, this one's actually multiple choice. Yeah. And he goes, actually, it's another reason. And he just goes, well, you want me to read them again? He doesn't understand why, but... So yeah, eventually he reveals though that he was attacked by a motorcycle gang, and this gang has been going around attacking lots of people.
It's been on the news and stuff to actually arm yourself.
Did they say it was like the 30th? Yeah, the radio is so funny. The guy's like, I don't know, so like take a gun or something,
or even a knife. Yeah. He goes, bring a knife.
But yeah, so and eventually I gotta get this part because the gun owner calls him later on, and he goes, yeah, your gun's all ready. You can come in and buy it. Because this is after he takes class. He's like, no, I don't need the gun anymore. He's like, well, you're not going to buy a knife, are you?
Yeah. He's like statistically speaking,
people that take knives to a gunfight are more likely to get shot.
He was like 9 out of 10 times.
He's like, well, you're not having a kid, are you? Because we have safes that are almost always, he's like, they're not 100%. He's like, we have safes that are almost always 100% proof. Yeah, but then he tells him, the gun's always there. It's good for 6 months. So if you need the gun, come in, you can still have it. But so Sensei invites Casey to the dojo class, and that gets Henry, the blue belt, pretty fucking pissed.
He gets really upset.
Yeah. Weirdly so. He comes in, he's like, how could you do that to me, man? He's like, I didn't know they were that close.
Well, that promotion scene, too, was really good when the black belt, we got to talk about that because the girl Imogen Poots, which her character name is what? Anna, I think.
Yeah, because she's like the second in command. She teaches
is.
the kids class, so she actually works for the dojo.
But Thomas ended up getting that black belt over her.
Yeah, and she's been there since the very beginning, so longer than anyone.
Yeah.
So there's some reason why she's not getting that black belt, and she is pissed
about that. Not happy woman.
Very upset, and we know because the next night at night class, the first night class that Casey goes to, she beats the shit out of the guy that got the
piss
black
out
belt.
of him.
Yeah.
She chokes him out. He tapped, in all fairness, but she chokes him out and then decks him repeatedly. At one point, I thought she was gonna kill him.
Well, she didn't fucking she didn't read. She
finally
didn't read
restrained
rule
herself.
8 or 9. Tap
did
or
not.
take a nap. That guy tapped and he
Well,
still took a nap.
Rule number 9 was stay hydrated.
Yeah,
Yes, it was.
it's true. It's very important. Rule number 8 was tap or take a nap, and then rule 7 was tap or hear a snap. So rule 8 and 7 were very
similar.
And I love that rule 11, guns are for weak, was tacked on later after the head sensei got shot. Which was so funny when he's explaining that a freak accident item where he was shot in the face
Yeah, a hunter mistaking him for a bird.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing is like guns are clumsy and karate is perfect. And like that's the whole thing. Guns are weak, I guess, is the moment there. But yeah, so they go to the night class. Anna beats the shit out of one of the students.
does.
The guy who got the
Thomas.
black belt really fucking beats the crap out of him. Then it gets fucking weird where I don't know what was going on or I'm reading too much into this, but the stretching after.
Okay, so I think they set it up because it was really funny to me the first time I watched it because I was like, oh my God. When he's bringing Eisenberg down the hall, he's like, well, hey, he goes, everyone's got to do this.
Yeah.
And then he opens the door of Imogen Poots. I'm like, what is he implying there?
Well, I think one, all
She's
the
like
guys
all crying and
Yeah.
stuff. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then she's like, well, I'm just going to have you stretch with a woman because a man's hands, and sorry, you're not going to get as good as a massage.
But I think all those guys were fucking after.
they were.
For sure.
Definitely
I think
were. Yeah,
100%,
that's why he took him out. That
this
one guy
guy-
was butt-ass naked.
And he's like, you can't see this for the first time. And then he talks about more about how a man's touch isn't nearly
It's
as good as a
woman's.
And I love
It
when
was definitely like a cult, for sure.
Oh yeah,
This was
they
a
were
cult.
for sure but they were for sure I think fucking after that
Oh,
for
yeah,
sure because they all
definitely.
like a weird stretch cool down. But yeah, he's like, it's so funny because he's like, I don't get why this is bad because he gets a massage from Imogene while the other guys are just ringing on each other. But yeah, but it's accordingly it's a bad thing to Sensei because her hands aren't strong, so he's not getting the full
work that you can, the full cool down.
Yeah, and he takes her into the woman's locker room, which is just the boiler room with a bench in it.
It's just got like electrical shit around the whole room.
It's very unsafe.
But then on the ride home, she kind of explains why they had to do that. To have a separate changing room.
Oh yeah, well
I mean later on.
Yeah, that's later on. Yeah, she doesn't explain that yet. Definitely not. But yeah, she gives him the cool down massage, and he gives her the cool down massage or whatever. But yeah, and Casey now he's pumped up. You know, he's a fucking yellow belt.
Oh, of course.
He loves the yellow belt. He can't wear it. He's got to wear it everywhere.
Everywhere, and that's but how do you wear a belt that
Yeah.
that doesn't hold your pants up?
My favorite gag of the entire movie is
Same.
the belt. Is the
It's
belt
the
gag.
same thing. When he comes in with Sensei and he's like, I even got you one. It's black. They made it.
And he's like,
wow.
I laughed so
And the joke was so funny. It hit so many times because when they're in the locker room and the guy who's got the brown belt,
he's like, you made me one?
a
brown
belt?
He's like, now I can wear it everywhere. Like, he
and
couldn't
feel
go
like
on
a brown belt.
Couldn't
Yeah.
go on Brian. And it was
So
so
funny.
special when he gives Sensei the black belt. And he goes, I had it special made. And it's just a regular black belt.
It's like the most plain belt you'll ever see in your life.
Oh, it's so funny. But yeah, so that's what he wants, because he wants to wear it because he's still kind of a pussy at this point. He doesn't have the training.
In that scene too with the guy with the orange truck.
Yep.
When he dings his car and then he's wearing his belt
That was funny too when he's like,
and he just knocks the groceries.
I
out
know
of his hands.
karate. He goes, well, what belt are you?
Yeah,
He goes, a yellow.
yellow.
And he goes, oh, okay, yeah, I can kick your ass. That's so funny. Like, if he said anything above a certain
yellow,
degree, he'd be
yeah.
like, okay, sorry. Yeah, he's going to apologize.
I'm gonna leave now.
He's well, what belt are you? It's so funny. And yeah, and then he finds out that he's still weak, you know. He's not.
He is a weak man.
But to feel better.
I love this scene too when he gets out of the car or into the car rather, and he's driving home, and it's that shot upward, and he's just bawling, just weeping in the car.
So, yeah.
That cry was hilarious.
But yeah, he goes to Sensei, and Sensei tells him some bullshit about a boat's a boat or whatever, and he tells him, he says, don't worry, I'm gonna make it up to you or whatever. Eventually, Sensei takes Casey out at night. He says, meet up with me. I think I know the guys that jumped you. And he takes him to a bar, and he says, that's the guy. He says he was driving a motorcycle.
And he's like, how do you know that's the guy?
It was in his explanation. He's like, yeah, I follow him. He wears a hat sometimes, but not all the time.
It's like, okay.
And then the guy comes out, and he's like, that's him. I'm like, well, how do you know? And he's like, I told you he wears a hat sometimes, but not right now. It's so stupid. So Casey ends up jumping this guy.
He does.
Hammered. The guy is hammered drunk. Can't fight back or anything.
Nope. And he hits him, and the guy hits his head hard on the concrete.
And he turns around, and Sensei's got a fucking
Video
1990 camcorder out. He's videoing him the whole thing. It's like a snuff film.
It is. Well, it is a snuff film.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what this guy's into.
Yeah, and that's what this movie does very well. It gets very dark,
Super dark,
very
fast.
funny. At some points, but yeah, it gets Sensei goes from being kind of likable to being kind of scary.
Yeah, downright
very
shitbag.
scary. Yeah, because then Casey finds out the guy wasn't even driving a motorcycle; he was riding a bike.
He was.
So he knew that the Sensei never knew. I mean, he knew always that that wasn't him.
Yeah,
and he brings this up, and Sensei says, he tells him, "You didn't care if that was him or not. You just want to take your frustration out." Because Casey ends up going home and finding that his
dog was beaten to death.
Yeah, was beaten by punches that
looked like kicks, which is the setup for the very first time he was working. And he's like, no, your kicks must be like punches. He goes,
you were learned to throw a kick like a punch and a punch like a kick. And the first kick he throws, he goes, no, that felt too much like a punch.
Yeah, he's like, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, he goes, that felt like a punch, a weak punch. And that's so funny because the vet tells him, because Casey's like, how'd he die? He goes, it looked like he was punched to death, but I've never seen it before. They look like kicks. But it came from a fist. It was so...
He's like, I know exactly where that was
from.
from.
I've never seen anything like it before. So,
like you'd be able to tell the difference.
He goes, I can't explain it, but the kicks look like fists. It was so damn funny because the doctor's like, because Casey's like, he's like, well, did he suffer? And the doctor was like, yeah, immensely.
He did. Internal bleeding.
It was extremely traumatic. The worst thing you want to hear from a doctor. But
he just shot him straight
because it was intensely traumatic. But he says that the dog looked like he bit someone. He had blood in his mouth. So Casey confronts Sensei. Casey thinks that it was Sensei that beat the dog up.
Yep. Which, why not take a little bit of that blood sample if someone did break into your home?
Because it's not that kind of movie.
It's not. And it is in the 90s, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, of course, they did have blood
Before
sample
someone
in the
would do
90s.
that. I know, but you wouldn't put out those sort of resources over someone killing a dog.
No.
A human, yeah, but not a dog.
Yeah, no. Still not even today I wouldn't.
No.
Even though if it was punches that look like kicks, I may want to look into it.
I would,
because I would know specifically that's something I got to look for. So eventually he confronts Sensei, comes to the dojo, shoes on the mat. And that's a big fucking no.
Oh, he's not done there. He brings food.
Brings a full
food.
sandwich. That's rule 2. No eating on the mat. Is he done there?
Rule 9, stay hydrated, but then he spits the water on the mat.
Yeah, I think they also... Yeah, no food or drinks.
Drinks.
And Sensei comes out and he's not having it. Mm-mm. Kicks the shoes off because you can't fight on the mat. Even.
I love how he unstrapped his sandals too with socks on. It's so funny.
It's so funny when Casey comes in and starts eating the sandwich and Anna, she immediately knows. She clears the kids out. She go. I think this is going to be crazy because she's going to have to kill this guy. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they end up getting into a little sparring match. And the Sensei, he's a legit badass.
He is.
This is one of the
things. Say what you will.
This is one of the things where I thought for sure the entire time he could just be lying and just bullshit.
And not be anyone. Yeah.
Not the case. And we found out when he snapped fucking Henry's arm for coming to the night class when he wasn't supposed to.
Uh-huh.
That was
a brutal scene too.
Which
yeah.
you don't even.
That was
see
a
coming.
compound fracture.
You know
too.
something's gonna happen, but you do not because he's like.
You don't see it like that.
He immediately comes up and he's like, "Can I get someone's help up here?" He goes, "Henry, come on up." And Henry's like, "Fuck yeah,
I'm in the nightclub and I'm the first one being helped."
snaps his arm.
Up.
Blood immediately comes
Oh, yeah, dude.
pouring
It's
out.
a compound fracture from the elbow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bringing your elbow through your friggin' arm, dude.
But,
that'd be brutal.
So Sensei and Casey, they end up getting into a fight.
They do.
But Sensei ends up overcoming him, but he convinces Casey that he did not attack his dog. And he convinces him also to work for him.
Well, in the next scene is him back in the office doing the part-time job.
Yeah.
They hired him the books earlier.
Yep.
And then the sensei tries to warm the situation up, and he's like, I am a white belt in accounting, but you are a bona fide black belt in accounting.
Yeah, he's just talking.
He's just
blowing
he's just
smoke up
buttering
his
him
ass.
up. Yeah.
And then he says, "Hey, why don't you take over the night class or the teaching kids?"
The teaching kids.
I feel like he wasn't qualified.
And that quote is so funny, where he was like, it was then that I realized that because she was a woman, she could never be a man. That's the reason why she didn't get a black belt.
Yeah, it's his whole thing is he doesn't believe that women can be black belts.
Yes.
He is aggressively gay.
Very.
He hates women, and then he starts giving him the most aggressive
massage as he's talking about the
touch, and you can tell it's hurting him so
he's like,
bad.
uncomfortable.
But he's like, this is a man. This is something you can't get from a woman. He's just beating the shit out of him. But he tells Casey, I'm going to make it up for you for the dog. I'm going to get you back for that dog. Because even though it was a feminine dog, he says, I'm gonna repay you.
Even though he definitely didn't kill the dog.
Yeah. But, I love he says, even though it was a feminine dog, I wouldn't have killed it. But so he ends up giving Casey later on. I guess he just stole a German Shepherd.
Yeah, I would say so.
brought him to
He didn't buy it.
No.
Just stole
He
it from
already has a
someone.
collar
Yeah.
on. Yeah. And I love the note he leaves. State your dominance or rip your throat out when you sleep. So he just leaves the dog in the. So later that night, though, Sensei says he's got a special mission. He just picks out a few of the students, like 3 of them, to go on a special mission, and the mission ends up being that they are the motorcycle gang that has been terrorized.
And I love that reveal when the garage door comes out.
Oh, yeah.
And then you see Casey's face.
I knew immediately
yeah.
that it was because the way they shot it when he first gets mugged and when like the one leader's just standing there staring at him, you could tell that was ended up gonna be, and it ends up being Imogen Poots, an honest character. But yeah, and he ends up not even being really surprised.
No.
So they got to go on a mission, and Casey's freaking out about this because he knows what he's got to do. They got to go beat up someone because that's how they get in.
That's how they get people signed up to their classes.
Yeah, and Anna was not invited, but she ends up going anyways.
Because saying that there was going to be like 3 runner, or you would have 3 drivers and only 1 runner.
Yeah. But really, she was just going there to protect Casey.
Yeah.
But
That's what I believe too.
Yeah. So they end up going. They end up going out, and they end up mugging a guy, but he ends up being an undercover cop because they're putting cops everywhere because all these muggings are happening.
Anna gets shot in the leg too. Grazed in the leg, I should say.
But Casey at this point is somewhat proficient in the mixed martial arts.
He is, and he puts an ass whooping on this
Kills
agent.
him.
He does kill him. He actually hits his head over a fire hydrant way too many times.
Well, then he fucking wails on him after that.
Yeah.
So
was
I'm sure
pretty
the
gruesome.
combination of the events didn't help.
Too much trauma
I
to the
can't
brain.
tell at what point what it was that killed him, but I'm sure it was one of the 80 hits he delivered to that top of that man's head. But yeah, he ends up going crazy. Absolutely nuts, but he earns his red stripe.
He does.
Which he
And
thought
we
was
come to
for
find-
teaching.
Right, and it is not for teaching. It is for taking the life of someone.
Killing
For
a
blood.
man, yeah.
Yep.
Crazy.
And that's when it's kind of revealed with Anna's story about why the locker room is in a boiler room, because a former student, attacked her after classes were over when she was by herself, and she ended up strangling him to death and killing him. And then Sensei had the audacity to say that it was her fault because she was leading him on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's classic fucking blaming the victim.
It is blaming the victim.
Especially a guy like Sensei. Once you watch a movie, you can tell this guy's just a piece of
of shit.
fucking shit at this point. But yeah, because Casey, he has to take her home because Anna ended up getting shot from the undercover cop. And yeah, he tells her that that she would always in class, she would always play down to their level because she didn't want the men to look bad.
Yeah.
So this guy took advantage of her, thinking she was weak, trying to rape her after. and she strangled him with his own fucking belt.
She did. Pretty gangster.
Pretty gangster for sure.
In a good way. I mean, if you're going to get a red stripe, it's a good way to get it, you know?
It's a lot better than what Casey did to get his just beating a cop to death.
That cop probably had a family, a wife, children at home.
Yeah.
Not a good
Lyanna was just defending
situation.
herself from a rapist.
From a rapist, yeah.
Well, that's how it gets delivered, that why Anna is inside the boiler room or whatever, and why she'll never be a fucking black belt. So the next day, Casey is pretty upset about this.
Yes, he is.
Upset about it all, and he ends up breaking in. Is it that night that he breaks into the dojo?
It is like like early morning, late at night, one of the two. But it kind of looks like early in the morning before Sensei got there.
He goes in, and he goes to the back room no one's allowed to go to.
And that was prefaced early on because that one room was locked.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's a wild room.
It's a weird room. It was crazy. I was like, is this movie taking a complete different, where is this going? There's a crematory back there.
You don't really just get those.
No.
You can't really just buy them like from Walmart or something. You usually have to have a light. Yeah, he's got an incinerator. He's got a full on, unless it came with the building, you can't just buy them like you buy a car.
No, you can't. I'm sure they're expensive too.
Yeah, but he's got a full on, who knows how many people he's murdered.
Oh, obviously a lot.
Yeah, because Anna said to get Casey to go with him to the gang. She said, "Oh, he'll kill you."
Mm-hmm. Well, and then he goes further on. And he finds the video camera and all the tapes.
Yep.
And he's literally mass producing these snuff films essentially.
Yeah.
Of like people getting the shit
classic
kicked out of
90s.
them and killed them.
That's
yeah,
90s, man.
I know.
That shit
Even the
was
cover and
rampant.
everything
That shit
was real.
rampant.
Yeah. Well, what was it? It was called Faces of Death.
No, Faces of Fist.
No. But I mean,
Faces
of Death was a real thing in like the
that's
90s, early 2000s. The videos
earlier than the 90s. Yeah, man. My aunt rented Faces of Death at one point. If you don't know what Faces of Death are, it was a very famous video that would go around before streaming or anything, and it supposedly had real deaths on it.
Yes.
It had a bunch of weird shit. It had like a monkey dying at one point and like getting killed. People like jumping off bridges. It came out later that a lot of the shit, like 80%, was fake.
Oh, really?
But it's the type of thing where you couldn't rent it from a video store.
No.
So you would go to a video store, and this guy would have to take you in the back and be like, you want to check this out? And he would give you a fucking snuff film. Mm-hmm. That's the 90s, man. People say it used to be so much simpler. Better times. I
don't know. It is debatable.
But it was to the point where, like, you could go anywhere and get these films. Like any video store, like a Blockbuster or anything. Everyone had. But that's what they were playing off. It's Faces of Fist in this one.
In this one, yeah.
But it was definitely playing off Faces of Death.
And the other thing that he sees too is Henry hanging by his blue belt.
That was really well shot and really well done, because he comes in at first and it's like
a mannequin or something. You're like, whoa, what is that? Because you can faintly see part of someone, or something. And then later on,
very dark.
Yeah, very dark.
Very dark.
And when Sensei comes in, he sees Henry.
It's no big deal.
No big deal. Another day on the job. Drags him to the crematorium and sets ablaze.
Well, we got to talk about what else Casey found there. He found the video of him.
Oh, of him getting beat up.
And he has like he's the cover of the tape.
Uh-huh. He's the cover of the tape. And he finds out that Thomas was going to kill him if it wasn't for Anna.
And then he fucking judo chops it in half.
I love that scene. It's so funny.
That scene and the scene where he finds the orange truck again, and he chops it, and then he does one kick, and he pulls the tire out.
It's so ridiculous, but that
hilarious,
again,
though.
So funny.
Yeah,
so
funny.
And it's so crazy how they can do like one or two of those scenes, completely take you out, and then bring you right back in. You know?
Well, the entire movie's so outlandish that it's never like
it's never taken itself too serious.
In that world, it's something that would happen. I mean, the world that he built, it's something someone could karate kick. Because again, punches look like kicks.
And
this world
kicks
like
punches.
It's a wild, it's upside down land. But I laughed so hard when he fucking chops that tire and it pops. It's so good. But yeah, so he learns that they were gonna kill him at his, and it ends up
because
Anna.
Thomas wanted his red stripe.
Yeah, and Anna ended up saving him, saying
because
that
she
heard
said,
cops.
yeah, because women's ears are more sensitive. which I
They
don't
know
that's
so
funny.
little about women. They're like, oh, yeah, that's got to be right.
That's got to be real. I mean, right? Dogs hear
She
those
wouldn't
women?
lie.
Yeah, okay.
They wouldn't
sure.
lie about that kind of thing. But yeah, so she ended up saving him. They were gonna kill him because Sensei was like, yeah, that guy looks like he's got nothing to live for. Crazy. This guy,
Pretty dark.
and that's why this guy's just going around selling these. That's how he's making money, selling these fucking
Snuff films.
Yeah, but so Casey goes there the next day when Sensei is done burning Henry in the incinerator, and tells him,
I love that scene too when they're kneeling on the mat and he just comes off. He still takes his shoes off and everything.
Yeah.
Gets on the mat and he's like, I just want to tell you,
I'm gonna kill you.
I'm going to kill you. I hate you and I'm going to kill you. And he goes, I challenge you to a, what was it?
Hand to
A
hand.
hand-to-hand combat, unarmed combat.
Unarmed combat. And Sensei goes, you'll
know you'll
lose.
lose.
Yeah, you'll lose. But I knew immediately what was going to happen here.
Did you?
Oh, absolutely. I knew the gun was going to come into play. For sure. The whole thing about the Sensei dying to the gun and him constantly talking about how weak guns are.
And the index finger, the move.
That I didn't know. I didn't even think about how stupid that was the stupid index where the Sensei finished every fight
with the index finger through the brain.
But yeah, the way that they kept and the way because again when she gets shot, he says something like "gun so clumsy." He constantly brought that up, and I knew that was gonna be so much funny. That had to have been the ending. The director and writer saw from the very start.
Oh, for sure.
Because it's so damn funny and so perfect to the movie. Because it just shows no matter, you could dedicate your entire life to martial arts, and a guy with a gun is gonna beat you every
single time. Yeah.
Doesn't matter how disciplined you are.
It doesn't.
Every time some lazy fat piece of shit, all he has to do is pull the trigger.
And I love after he kills him too. He goes, "I was going to tell you two things.
Yep.
Goes, first, I was going to say that you would say that me having a gun would make me a weak man. But on the contrary, I would say you're the weak one
because I'm the one that's
I'm
alive.
the one who's alive, and you're the one who's dead."
And I love when they start the fight. It looks like they're about to fight,
Yeah.
and then he just
goes, boom, it just shoots him right in the head.
And then the next day, or the next morning, I'm sure
That
it's
morning,
hours, yeah. Because all we hear is a squish sound, and then the next sound, the next scene is him introducing the class or whatever,
And saying that he's now the
since his
the
body's
leader,
still there.
'cause
They all
he's
came
just
in,
still laying down.
they all came in, said nothing about that.
Nope.
All took the position and just waited for very dedicated.
It is. You got to be dedicated to the craft. Period. End of discussion.
So he brings him in, and a very nice scene. The last scene is Casey finally gives on the rightful black belt, but
And then
he sicks his new German Shepherd.
Well, because he went over to Thomas and he goes, "You have a bandage, huh?" And he goes, How did you sprain it?" He goes, "Well, I was just playing guitar." And he goes, "Oh, that's curious. What kind of rock? What kind of rock? Soft rock." Wrong.
He goes, "Oh, guitar. How are you with chords and levels?"
Yeah, chords and levels.
He goes, "Well, I'm pretty good. I can play a pretty good song." He goes, "Oh, good. He goes, "What kind of rock are you?" "Yeah, what kind of rock?" He goes, yeah. He says, "Rock." He goes, "What kind of rock?" He
It's
goes,
like soft rock.
He goes, "That's bullshit.
There's no way someone could ever sprain their.
The only way
wrist.
you can sprain your wrist is playing metal." And then he rips the bandage off, and it's a dog bite.
It is.
And he sicks his new dog after him, and he kills him.
And I love throughout the whole movie, he's learning French, he's learning German, and then at the end, he commands them in German to attack them.
That opening scene when the French couple comes in, and they're just
talking so much shit about him, and he
so
knows
brutal.
French.
And then the next scene is of him in his car with learning French.
And it was like, Master 25, you now have fluent understanding of the French language.
Welcome back to lesson 25. By now, you should have complete understanding of the French. And he goes, yeah, I do. So he heard everything that and they were just talking. So
they were playing a game, just making fun of him. So sad.
You've now mastered lesson 25. So it would have been fine if he was lesson 2. And
it would have been, it would have never even affected him.
But it doesn't matter. He ends up learning German anyways.
He does.
That ends up helping him because he has a German Shepherd now, and he ends up. I guess he's just a cold-blooded at this point.
Yeah, most certainly.
He's
I mean, he's
killing
killed a
people
few
left and
people
right.
now.
But not with martial arts. That's what I
No.
loved about it. Is the only time he wrongfully killed someone was with martial arts. Killing someone with a gun, it's all right.
It's a whole different story.
with a German Shepherd, that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Again, martial
Plausible
arts
deniability.
versus a wild animal. I'm picking the animal 9
I'm
times out of 10.
picking it too. Yeah,
That's
for real.
That's the unfortunate part about it. But yeah, so last scene is Anna finally getting the black belt, and she is the rightful sensei now.
She is, and she even tells him right after he gives her the black belt, she's like, "Get back in line, yellow belt." And I'm like, "Damn." Okay.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a good scene.
It
though.
is.
And
It's
it's
a really
it's
nice
funny because all the senseis have died by getting shot in the head, and him clear saying guns are so weak, telling him about that the only. That's the way senseis go.
It is.
You don't go out in a fight; you get shot in the head.
Yep.
Great senseis can only die in a freak hiking accident that involved getting shot.
By mistakenly looking like a bird.
Mason, what did you think about the art of self-defense?
Well, I have to bring this up first and foremost. We did a top 10 at the end of 2019. And for whatever reason, I thought this movie was made in 2018. I didn't put it on my list. But I'm telling you, Cash, this would have been top 5. This was one of my favorite movies of last year. I thought it was brilliant. I love the humor throughout it. I laughed throughout this whole movie, and it could get dark and then go back to humor and then get really dark again. It was just such a perfect balance for me. I thought the casting was spot on perfect for every single character. The sensei in this was hilarious. A funny alpha male. Imogen Poots was great as Anna, and Jesse Eisenberg was literally the perfect Casey Davies I've ever seen in my life. Like, that's the only guy I'm ever going to think of. I thought the direction was really cool. I want to talk about some of the shots. I loved the slow-mo. I love the cinematography of the slow-mo karate shots of them punching and kicking and jumping up in the air. I thought it was really well done, and only something that you could kind of do in like an indie, because I thought they took some risks doing that, and those slow zoom ins and zoom outs were really cool. Overall, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie, and I really do recommend it to anyone who's interested in a dark comedy. This is one of the better ones out there.
Yeah.
So for me, I give this. Are we grading it?
Go
or?
ahead. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, you can.
I'll give this. I give this a solid A. I love this
Wow.
movie. Yeah,
Solid A.
I'm super biased on this, but I thought it was so well written. I thought it was hilarious. There were twists and turns.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. Like I said, dark comedy is my favorite subgenre of comedy film for sure, and it's very hard to have to find that balance between something very extremely depressing and also comedy. It's just hard to do, but when like I said, when it's done right, it looks really, really fucking good, and this guy did it very, very well. Did a great job. Like you said, Jesse Eisenberg, he's got to be sick of playing these roles, but I'm guessing when he read this script, he just knew. I mean,
Yeah. And he's good at it too. Like, he's good at playing those roles. He's convincing.
oh
as
yeah,
him,
absolutely.
so-
But I can see not wanting to play the same role over.
for sure.
But he just must have been convinced by the script because the script. I mean, it's just too damn funny.
It's too funny. Not
It's such
to.
it's the same role he's used to playing, but it's different for him. Where at the end he ends up becoming a badass, which is nice. But yeah, I gave it I'm right around. I gave it like a B minus a B. I like this movie. It's very underrated for a comedy.
For sure.
I mean, I don't know anyone that's seen this movie, but I would recommend it to
Yeah.
anyone. I
saw this movie in theaters,
The
actually.
humor is so dry. It's
is.
so funny though. It had me just cracking up in so many scenes. It reminds me of kind of like New Zealand humor, British humor. or
Yes,
something
that's
like
what
that.
it reminded me of too. Definitely.
But yeah, I would recommend it for sure, and it's free on Hulu.
It is, and what's better than hopping on Hulu and watching this movie? It's only an hour and 40 minutes too. It's really not a bad runtime.
No,
It's right where it needs to be, I think, for a movie like this.
yeah, and it's hilarious. I can't even find what the budget was for this, but I can only imagine it was not a lot.
It wasn't much because the
God.
box office was not much. It was like 2.8
No,
million or
but
something like
but
that.
it wasn't released.
No,
wide.
it wasn't. No,
Yeah.
it wasn't. I was very lucky to see this in theaters because I'm sure not too many people did.
No, yeah, yeah. I can't even find a budget for it.
Yeah, I can't find a budget either, but I see the box office, but no budget.
But that's, I mean, how small for sure. But it was.
Oh yeah,
But like I said, it was shot really well too.
it was.
But
I really enjoyed it
Yeah.
all around. Alrighty, well that's our review for The Art of Self Defense. Check out our social media pages out. Twitter, Seen It Podcast. Instagram, Have You Seen It? Facebook, Have You Seen It Podcast? Be sure to check out our YouTube channel too, guys. Subscribe. We do a lot of different videos now, trailer reactions, history of cinema, top videos, top 10, top 8, top 6 videos. We also have our movie news, our episodics that we do here, and our TV Tuesday. So we're really trying to grow that YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe there. Hit the little bell notification, like the videos, comments, get interactive. Let us know what you think. We got a few people now who continually talk to us on YouTube, so it's really cool. So yeah, anyway, my name's Mason Knight. That is Cash Kraus. Until next time.
Bye.